Hey guys, welcome to a debate between G-Man and Trill. This is a super casual debate just on the topic of do atheists exist, which is a claim that G-Man has made in the past and Trill would like to engage. So at the moment, we're going to start, and I would like Trill, since he is a guest here, first time on my channel, I would love for him to state his position and then G-Man state his, and then we can continue with the argument with G-Man defending his position that atheists do not exist.
Okay, well, just a little bit about me because a lot of people don't really know who I am. And this is your boy Thaddeus Trill, aka Young Trillium. I'm an aspiring hip hop artist and TV writer. I've made beats for myself and others. Relax, other people have gotten dose of my talent as well, including G-Man here. So my position comes from basically what I've observed because I've talked to other atheists and that before. And my position is basically that atheists do exist. That when people say that they don't, I think that's just them not being able to understand the other person's point of view. And some of the arguments that are used, I don't think are very good ones. And we can go through that some other time, like today, I guess. Yeah.
G-Man?
What's my time limit?
There's no time limit, so it's we'll end in roughly 2 hours. If you guys want to extend the debate past 2 hours, that's fine.
Oh,
I got all night.
I was wondering who was going to start with a constructive argument first.
Oh yeah, I
Well,
was just wanting the audience to be aware of who's defending what position. So I'll let
Oh,
my
okay.
theory actually construct the argument after it's established.
Okay, yeah, you can construct it.
yeah, let me make my opening though. For those of you who don't know, my name is G-Man. I got a channel on YouTube called G-Man Preaching to the Choir Ministries. You can go to YouTube and type in G-Man, and you can find me that way. I have an argument on YouTube that I use, and I'm not the only person. There's other people that use variations of this argument. It's like the presuppositionalists out there. My argument is that atheists don't exist because when you look at the definition of an atheist, and then you look at how the atheist presents himself, you look at his line of argumentations and what his goals are, you can quickly see that that person's not an atheist. And again, when we get to this when we actually get into this, you're going to see what I mean. This will be quick. It will be painful for those of you who are atheists and painless for those of you who know the truth. So with that, I end.
Okay, so at this portion, I'm gonna ask G-Man to please construct his argument and provide as many evidences as he's capable of, and then Trill will proceed to pick apart that evidence, and you guys can proceed with the debate.
All right. Thank you, Anna. Very quickly, I want to define what an atheist is supposed to be. According to the dictionary, the book that defines words, at least for this conversation today, an atheist is a person that does not believe in any gods whatsoever. Another definition is a lack of a belief in a god or gods. That would be the God of the Bible and any other god you can possibly think of. Atheism means the A in atheism means to be without. It means to be without theism, or to be without a belief in a god. Okay. When you look at that definition and you look at how atheists present themselves on YouTube, not only do they claim that God doesn't exist, 99.9% of the atheists online, when you ask them or when you begin to talk to them about morality, believe that they're more moral than God. They're smarter than God. They actually believe they can have made better decisions than God. That would make them a judge at that point. For those of you who don't know a whole lot about religions, if you look at some of the lesser religions that are out there, like the pagan religions, a lot of those gods are judges, and a lot of them can be human beings, and a lot of them are final authorities. And an atheist is a judge and a final authority. And it's not me painting this with a broad brush. This is an understanding of something beyond Christianity. If you look at LaVeyan Satanism, these are people who call themselves atheists who also claim to be their own gods and their own goddesses. If you look at your history books, you'll see that the ancient Roman emperors claimed to be their own gods, and that the Egyptian pharaohs claimed to be their own gods, and their followers worship them. Okay, if you go look up the word idolatry, if you go look at what it means to pretend like you're a god in Christianity, when you present yourself to be something greater than God Almighty, you are being an idolater. You're worshiping yourself. You're giving homage to yourself. You're referencing yourself because you believe that your opinion is the only one that matters, because you believe that your judgments are the only ones that matters. How many times have we heard these atheists on YouTube saying that morality is subjective, that the dictionary doesn't even define words, that the dictionary describes usages of words? I want you guys to remember that throughout this entire debate. A lot of these atheists don't even want to bow down to the, or don't want to respect the dictionary. Yet we use the dictionary to define what an atheist is. Remember that now. All right. As far as my evidences go, all you got to do is look at the New Age movement, look at paganism, look at heathenism, look at some of these other lesser religions like Rebellion Satanism, which is supposed to be run by atheists. Take a look at the atheists yourself. And this government that we're living in today, technically, by law, atheism is a religion. All right, yet they claim to be against it, and they have their dogmas. They have their quote unquote religious beliefs that they won't let go. All right, so my whole argument centers around, number one, the definition of an atheist. How can you be an atheist if you're your own God? All the atheists on YouTube that claim to be a person that lacks of a belief in a God or a gods is a person who is masquerading themselves as their own God. If you don't believe me, ask them, is morality subjective? Ask them, is there any objective truth? And you'll see exactly what I mean. Everything is according to their opinion and their liking and what they want. So for right now, I'll leave it there because I want to hear some of these objections from Thaddeus.
All right. Well, that was a lot to say there. Like, what can I say, right? He pretty much won. I'm kidding. Okay, so let's get into the arguments. With the whole atheists are their own gods thing, this is where things get a little messy. Don't worry, I'll clean this up. In the context of atheists being their own gods, the word gods means, meaning final authority or master, that kind of context. Like how for Christians, the big G God is supposed to be their final authority or master. The problem with this argument is that while atheists may technically be their final authority or master for what they want to do for the most part, granted they're not being escorted by a police officer or a mother for the basement-dwelling atheists out there, this final authority or master is not a supernatural God. I think a much better description of the atheism that we see described day to day within atheism communities, and even in this small community here on YouTube and Google Plus, would rather be the whole atheism, rather than a lack of a belief in a God, would be rather lacking a belief of a supernatural God. Lack of a belief in a supreme divine entity. That is what they technically mean by when they don't believe in a big G God or any gods. See, thing is, in order to defeat this argument, my opponent will have to show how these little g gods invalidate the implied definition of atheism, because you can go and say, oh yeah, technically these are gods, but when you actually look at what atheists in that claim when it comes to what they believe and everything, it doesn't take a genius to know they're actually talking about supernatural gods and deities rather than just who's their final authority. Do you want to respond?
Yeah, I would love to respond. I'm just waiting for Hannah to give me permission.
Yeah, go ahead. This is
go ahead.
going to be more of a conversational type.
More of a conversation. Don't think of it as big, long chunks here and there.
Okay, cool. I like to read a scripture to you real quick, okay? This is Psalms 82, all right? God standeth in the congregation of the mighty. He judges among the gods. How long will ye judge unjustly and accept the persons of the wicked? Defend the poor and the fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and the needy. Deliver the poor and the needy. Rid them out of the hand of the wicked. They know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in the darkness, and all the foundations of the earth are out of course. I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are the children of the Most High. But ye shall die like men, and fall like one of the princes. Arise, O God, judge the earth, for thou shalt inherit all nations. What is being said there? God is actually talking to the leaders of the nation of Israel, And he himself referred to them as little gods. But he also said that the people would die like men. When the atheist community, when you hear people like Matt Dillahunty say things like, I am more moral than the God of the Bible. Let me think about it. Who's bigger and greater than God? What would you have to be to judge a God that big? Just curious. What would you have to be? You know what I mean? You would have to be one yourself to even be able to be on the level of talking to him. He claims to know all things. If you're sitting there talking about that you're more moral than him, then obviously you believe that you believe all things as well too. You put yourself in a position to judge Almighty God. So you have to be one yourself in order to do that. Also, when you sit there and say things like, and I'm talking to the atheists out there, not necessarily the Thaddeus right now, but when you're talking to these atheists out there, and they're saying things like, oh, I don't believe there's anything wrong, that there's such thing as good and evil. Oh, really? According to who? Oh, according to me. Okay. What do you mean according to you? Okay, so give me more. No, according to my subjective opinion, I believe that there's no such thing as good and evil. You understand what I'm saying? The only person that has that authority to do something like that is God, not a human being. It has to be based on something, and they have a baseless opinion that there's no such thing as good and evil. So that's one, and they make themselves out to be a God by doing that. Now, you also said in your statement that I have to be able to show you how a person can believe that you can be an atheist without believing in the God of the Bible. I think you said. Can you repeat that again for me, please?
Oh, I basically said, if I in order to basically invalidate this argument, you have to show that how these little g gods invalidate the implied definition of atheism. Basically, how it's understood among a lot of people.
Oh, I understand that. See, when somebody comes to me and they say something like this to me, I don't believe in your God, and I don't believe in any other God as well. That tells me that you don't believe in the God of the Bible or any other God in any other religion. Now, that's a very interesting thing there, because you're denying the God of the Bible. Great. And if you look on YouTube, you look at all these videos against the God of the Bible. But rejecting Christianity does not make you an atheist. Neither does rejecting Christianity and Islam make you an atheist. Neither does rejecting Christianity, Islam, and the God of Judaism an atheist. You see, they're claiming that they don't believe in Thor. They claim they don't believe in Zeus. They don't believe in the New Age movement. They don't believe in any of that, and that makes them an atheist. In order to be atheist, you can't believe in any gods whatsoever. Not a zilch. No God whatsoever. So in order for you to be an atheist, that means you cannot believe that a human being can be a God for the same reasons that you don't believe that the God of the Bible exists. And what is their main reason? Their main reason is that there is no evidence for his existence. Okay, fine. What's your excuse for John Doe over there claiming to be his own God? And that's my argument. My argument is you got all the evidence in the world that this person is, number one, claiming to be a God, doing the divine things that he claims he can do, making the judgment he claims he can make, and all these other things and whatnot. So my question for you is what's your excuse about John Doe over there? Because the moment you agree that that person's a God, but the reasons that you gave for the reason why you don't believe the God of the Bible exists, you're done. You can't be an atheist, because you cannot be an atheist and believe in at least one God. If you believe in at least one God, you are not an atheist. That makes you anti-Christian or maybe anti-other religions or whatever. But it does not make you an it does not make you it doesn't make you an atheist.
See, the thing is, and I think I've already explained this already, we're mixing up definitions and that again. When atheists mean God, they don't just mean whoever is a final authority. They mean specifically they don't believe in this some sort of supernatural, magical, supreme deity kind of being. I mean, they can believe certain people can have authority over them, even them own selves. But that's not typically what atheists are talking about when they say a lack of a belief in a God.
So let me make sure I fully understand this. You're saying that they only believe in the gods they can't see with their physical eyes, but they do believe in gods that they can see.
They believe in they can believe in authorities. They don't necessarily believe in divine beings.
You have a dictionary in front of you?
Not offhand, no.
Could you Google the definition of an atheist, please?
Sure, but I don't think this is going to do anything.
Yes, it's going to tell you what the definition of an atheist is.
Definition. All right. You want me to use Merriam-Webster? Doesn't matter which dictionary I go to.
Doesn't matter which dictionary you use, since I know what the definition is going to be. We'll go ahead and read the
Okay.
4 different definitions.
All right. Hang on. Let me pull it up here. Here it is. According to Merriam-Webster definition of atheism, number 1, a lack of a belief or a strong disbelief in the existence of a god or any gods. B, a philosophical or religious position characterized by disbelief in the existence of a god or any gods.
Can you stop right there? The first definition you gave was fine. You read that again for me, that first one?
A lack of a belief or strong disbelief in the existence of a god or any gods.
Okay, cool. So that means any gods. I mean, seriously, like I did at least a year in college. I know what it means when a person said they don't believe in any gods. Any gods.
Yeah.
That means you can't believe in none. And I guarantee you, I'll start a civil war within the atheist community if I start getting on here saying, well, I got a problem here, guys. Atheists can believe in gods they can see. They can't believe in gods that they don't see. That's not what the dictionary says. Game over. You understand what I'm saying? Atheists don't exist because if you believe in at least one God, then you are not an atheist. And by the way, I have a twofold argument. That's only the first part of it. The second part is that atheists are suppressing the truth and unrighteousness. We haven't even gotten to that one yet. All right, about them.
Okay, well, if I can respond to your
like he doesn't exist.
If I can respond to your little g gods argument, thing is, when it comes to this whole atheism thing, you got to realize that we're using gods in a different context.
Did you say we?
Well, they are like whatever. Just people in general besides you.
You said you're an anti-theist, and you just said we. Are you an atheist?
No, I'm not an atheist. But I can still understand what an atheist means when they say they're an atheist. I don't put on the whole lesser gods kind of argument and talking with them.
What's the difference between anti-theist and an atheist? I'm curious.
Anti-theist is basically anti-religion. They might take atheism one step further. But I think you're using it in a different definition where it means they're also misotheists to the point where they still actually believe God exists. But typically, from what I've seen, anti-theists are just very strong atheists that are very anti-religion. And
what I believe about atheists is this. I believe you got people in here that identify as atheists, but they're not. I believe that these people are misotheists and anti-theists. Okay? The anti-religion and the anti-God. But they know full well that at least one of them exists. They're just lying to themselves, or they're pretending that he's not real because they won't even look at the information objectively. The majority of the atheists here online, I can tell you this from straight up experience, won't even read the Bible. They'll tell you that they read it like 5 or 10 times, but they won't even read it. And I know they haven't read it when I ask really silly questions like, "What? Okay, so why did God flood the earth?" And when they start saying, "I don't care why God flooded the earth," that tells me all I need to know about that person.
Hey, since we're on the topic of Merriam-Webster, have you looked up the definition of God? Because if you look at definition 2, okay, I'll read it for you. I'm right here. You don't even have to, but you can look it up if you don't believe me, think I'm lying or something. But definition of God, definition 2, according to Merriam-Webster, is a being or object believed to have more than natural abilities and powers and to require human worship, specifically one controlling a particular aspect or part of reality, i.e. the Greek gods of love and war and all that stuff. So, since God has multiple definitions, when we go back to the other definition of atheism, they might be using definition 2 of God. Meanwhile, you're trying to use some sort of other definition saying that's what atheism means, that they don't believe in any sort of gods, even final authorities. But if we're sticking to definition 2, then it makes total sense to what we see in the community and what people say atheism is.
Well, I can tell you this. I'm not guessing, and I'm not definitely mishandling words. I don't know. I can make a video, I don't know, for about 150 atheists, all claiming they don't believe in Mithra, Thor, and all these other lesser gods and whatnot. And they always keep bringing these gods up and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
They say they don't believe in God and they don't believe in this God. And they always say that I believe in one less God. I'm sorry. I believe in what is it? One less God than you believe in, which would suggest that they don't believe in any. Again, if you're telling me that an atheist is someone who rejects supernatural gods but believes in natural gods, then you're not talking about atheism no more, my friend. You're creating some different definition.
Actually, I am, because that is still a proper definition. Are we just going to deny that definition number 2 is not a valid definition of God? And that if we
Okay.
look at what atheism means, then that seriously makes sense?
I would be willing to accept that. You want to know why?
Yeah.
If I can call the atheist experience on Sunday, right, and explain to, I don't know, Matt Dillahunty, I don't know. Hey Matt, I heard this really funny thing from this anti-theist. He said something really funny. He said that you actually believe in a God while you're an atheist. No, but not a supernatural God. You can believe in a God that you can see with your eyes. But then you're an atheist if you don't believe in the gods that you don't see. Does that make any logical sense? And he's going to look at me and say, okay, whoever said that to you don't know what they're talking about. Now, that's Matt Dillahunty. Let's invite Bionic Dance into this room. Bionic Dance against then let's invite the amazing atheist here, Coach Dutty, Jacqueline Glenn, and all their so-called leadership here online. Let's bring Aaron Raw. Let's not call Aaron Raw leadership. You can bring all the so-called popular dudes in. Bring J.D. Kane in here. Bring anybody you want in here. The moment they say that you can believe in at least one God and you're an atheist, ain't nobody taking that person seriously no more after that. I guarantee you. Nobody. That ain't gonna fly. I think the problem that you're gonna have today, Thaddeus, is this. I understand that you believe that atheists exist.
Yeah.
But atheists, but an atheist, according to the dictionary, cannot exist if he believes in at least one God. And I am claiming that that God is self.
We've just been through the definitions. Definition 2 makes sense. Again,
yeah. If
the dictionary doesn't say what definition of God that we're using. We can go by the context, though.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Since you're going to Merriam-Webster dictionary, which I think is a horrible idea to do, let's talk about the New Age movement. What? No. Better yet, let's look at LaVeyan Satanism. That's one of my favorite things there. Where's my satanic Bible? I'm gonna have a little fun with you. Why don't you tell me what the definition for God is for a LaVeyan Satanist? I got a satanic Bible right here, right? And they got a chapter in here talking about this. Can you please explain to me what that definition is, and whoever's feeding you your whatever, you tell them to give you the definition? And then I have another question. Are you Keefers or whatever? Because you sound just like him. But go ahead.
If we go into definitions,
yeah,
LaVeyan Satanism. Okay, I'm not getting anything from Merriam-Webster. So they're the ones that believe that.
You got to get a satanic Bible, or you got to go on their website to get a definition, or get a satanic. Get one of them dudes to explain to you what the definition is. By the way, they have a chapter in here called "The God You Save May Be Yourself." You know, I'm just, and these are atheists, by the way. They're claiming that they're their own gods. Never mind the New Age movement, where they teach people scientifically that you have divine qualities living inside of you. With telekinesis, I think they claim that you have.
Okay, according to their website, what I'm getting is that they basically are atheists, but they kind of put on this special, I guess, kind of little, I don't want to call it facade, but kind of like decorate it as if they're like all Satanists and being all edgy and all that. And they also seem to have, they use Satan as like a symbol, basically. Like it says right here in the churchofsatan.com that Satan to us is a symbol of pride, liberty, and individualism. And if we're going by the whole satanic Bible thing, the fact they have these tenets, then it's basically, you know, atheism with a bunch of edgy tenets, basically.
Well, that's your opinion, but that doesn't make it true. But
okay, what do you think it is then? I'm reading it right here.
I'll read to you the definition of when God himself referred to the rulers of Israel as being gods. And I actually have the definition in front of me, and I'm not going to use the Merriam-Webster dictionary. I'm actually going to use the Bible here, okay? And that God, the word God there is spelled small G-O-D-S, because whenever you see that in the Bible, and this is for all you people out there who claim you read the Bible and you really don't, when you see the small G-O-D-S in the Bible, you are referring to somebody who is not God himself, the creation of all, the one who sent Jesus Christ and everything and whatnot, okay? So let me give you the Strong's Concordance definition of it. It means Elohim. All right. It means, let me see something here. God, a judge, a goddess, great and mighty, angels exceeding. It means rulers or judges, divine ones, angels or gods or goddesses, godlike one, works or special possessions of a god, the true God or God. So in this case, when we're looking at the small g there, we're looking at a person who is their own final ruler and their own final authority. Okay, and I already know atheists' ultimate goal in here is to have total autonomy in their life. They don't want to be told what to do. They don't want the dictionary telling them what words means, which is why Matt Delaney gets on here and he says things like the dictionary doesn't define words and that it describes usages. You know what I mean? So they in their world, what they believe about morality is true, and whatever judgments they make in their little world is true. Okay, no one can question any of those things. Whatever they say is true. Okay, so the last time I checked, the only person that had the authority to do something like that is God. And you can't use the argument, well, G-Man, you do the same thing. No, because I yield my will to God's. I say, according to God, this is right. According to God, this is wrong. Okay, I say that God teaches this, so I'm submitting to His. So you can argue that G-Man is a little God, but it's not going to help your argument. You understand what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, it might actually hurt it. But the bottom line, these atheists on here believe they're their own little judges and they're their own little rulers. Okay, but the second half of this argument that I have on here hurts even more, because I also claim that they're intentionally staying away from factual information that could prove that God exists to them or show that He's real. They're suppressing truth. They won't read the Bible, for example. They won't go to Sunday school. They won't hear the reasons on why God flooded the earth, because they keep saying things like they don't care. So they hold the opinion that God was immoral for flooding the earth. And I have hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of evidence on my YouTube channel. Just go watch it, G-Man versus the World, any of those hangouts, and you'll hear them say this over and over and over. You'll even hear Bionic Dance say things like rape is okay. According to who? According to Bionic Dance.
Okay. So are you gonna let me respond?
Go ahead.
Okay. So going back to the whole, I'll see what I can respond to. Going back to the whole Satanist thing, LaVeyan Satanism.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we are talking about, I guess you could call it like an ideology that basically uses this whole Satanism, almost like biblical version of Satan, again, as like a symbol, as like this, it's kind of like this covering, as like dressing, basically atheism with a bunch of tenets. So whenever they say something that it makes it seem like, oh, they actually do believe in some sort of theistic God or whatever, again, it's all symbolism. This isn't theistic Satanism. This is LaVeyan Satanism. And therefore, when it comes to the whole God thing, if we're going back to the definition, we're going back to what atheists believe, according to both, even the Merriam-Webster definition. Never mind what atheists just say. Gods, right there in that definition, lack of belief in gods. We already know from looking up the word God that can refer to a divine being that is all like supreme and powerful and all that. Again, I think we're messing up the whole final authority versus supreme divine deity. I mean, sure, someone can believe that they are their own like final authority, but that's not what atheists mean typically, if at all, when it comes to gods. They mean a divine being.
Thaddeus, how old are you, Thaddeus?
21.
Okay, you just use God in the plural sense. You do understand?
Yes, because
right?
I'm giving your definition of God's credit.
Thaddeus. You just use
That's
God
why.
in the plural sense. Okay, you just use God in the plural sense.
Yes.
That means you're talking about more than one God. You do understand that, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if you're talking about more than one God, how about we just get past the God of the Bible real quick? And if you're talking about more than one God, please tell me all the other gods that are being included into this conversation.
All the other gods that anyone can believe in, like shoot, the god of the Hindus. What, you know, if you want to take it as something separate for the sake of argument, the god that the Muslim people worship, Thor, Odin, all those different gods of like Norse mythology, Greek mythology.
Let's stop there a minute now, okay?
Yeah.
You just said all the other gods that a person could possibly imagine.
Yeah.
So when an atheist says that they don't believe in gods, that's in all other gods that a person can imagine, including self.
Oh my goodness!
You
Look,
can't.
I just explained.
Thaddeus, hold on a minute.
Yes,
You just disproved yourself there a minute, okay? You just said
I
earlier
did.
that an atheist could believe in a naturalistic God, but they don't have to believe that. But if that person lacks a belief in a supernatural God, then that means they're not an atheist. I'm sorry, that they are atheists. But now, because you put the S in front of the word God there, they say, I believe in gods, and you said, and I quote, that all any kind of God that a person could possibly think of, that would include self. You understand? So you can't have it both ways. It's either they don't believe in a supernatural God, or they don't believe in a supernatural God and a naturalistic God. Which one is it?
G-Man, you're basically this. You don't understand. What I'm trying to say is that when I say gods, anyone that one can possibly believe it, that's the supernatural type of gods that they don't believe in. If we're talking about gods as in, their final authority and judge and all that, that's a definition that I'm granting you because I've heard you use it before. Personally, I don't think that the definition of a god, that how the atheists use it, and even though it's technically a definition dictionary, how it's used in this community, that's not a very good definition of a god. It's just not, because half the time when we're referring to gods in this community and when an atheist debates somebody, I mean, we can kind of know that they mean a divine being, that they're not talking about some final authority or whatnot.
I agree with you. And that's why I say they're not atheists. You see, I don't know how many times I've said this on YouTube, because obviously you guys aren't listening. I said this multiple times. Just because you reject the Christian God or the God of Islam or the God of Judaism, that doesn't make you an atheist. That makes you anti-Christian, or it makes you anti-Islam, or it makes you anti-Judaism. But it does not make you an atheist. In order to be an atheist, you have to deny all gods.
It doesn't make it you an atheist to you.
Thaddeus, hold on a minute, Thaddeus. If they are claiming to be atheists and they only reject, and this is my argument, I want you to hear this now, okay? If what you're saying is that the atheists, when they make their claim that they don't believe in supernatural gods, then they don't know what they're talking about. They are not atheists. They are anti-Christian or anti-Muslim or anti-Jewish. If the only gods they are rejecting are supernatural gods, they cannot be atheists. Because the moment they meet a New Ager and they start claiming they have divine qualities and they give you their definition for what they mean by it, and you can actually see them actually do it, then you're no longer an atheist no more. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I'm dying to ask them, why are you atheistic toward the New Age movement? You don't. A lot of them don't know, because they don't even know what the New Age movement is.
Well, you can ask them. I'm not gonna answer a whole bunch of stuff for them, but from what they have told me, what they've expressed in this community, atheism is a lack of a belief in a supernatural God. Let's look at the context that they actually use it in.
That's not the definition they use. The definition they use is that they don't believe in any God whatsoever. Now, if you're telling me
in context, they're talking about supernatural gods.
Wait a minute. If atheists are now officially agreeing with you, and I promise you, you won't hear the end of it. If atheists are saying right now in this Google Hangout that they only lack a belief in a supernatural God, then they're done. They're done. They're absolutely done. Because Matt Dillahunty's a liar, JD King's a liar. Well, actually, they've been liars for a long time anyway. All of them have been liars for a long time. Because if you're saying that you're an atheist, according to the dictionary and according to how they present themselves online, and you only reject supernatural gods, I'm going to put a New Ager on my channel one day, and I'm going to introduce him to him. He's going to claim to be God, and none of you can, and none of them can lack a belief in it. He's going to be right there in front of them. And then when they're claiming to be atheists, they're going to get laughed at. They're going to get laughed at because they claim they don't believe in any gods. You see, here's the thing, Thaddeus. You're playing. Okay, you don't understand what an atheist is. An atheist is somebody that does not, and I'm going to tell you right now, they don't believe in any gods. Nada, zilch. None. If you believe in one God, that makes you a theist, a monotheist, or perhaps a polytheist. If you're a pagan and you believe in many gods or whatever, in these pagan beliefs or whatever, but if you believe in at least one God, you're not an atheist. And if now you guys are telling me that you can believe in at least one God and still be an atheist, a lot of these atheists need to delete their YouTube accounts and stop talking on here because they're gonna look really stupid later. I'm telling you.
So in order for you to accept the whole, when we go back to the definition of atheism in the dictionary, in order for you to accept that that definition of God, could mean that number 2 definition, we actually look up what God is in the same dictionary. In order for you to accept that and not just use the broad generalization of what God can mean in any context, that definition for you would have to have like a footnote that says, oh, by the way, we mean definition 2 of God when it comes to atheism. Just
no, that's not what I'm doing.
It sure seems like it. Please explain to me.
Wait a minute. You're cherry picking.
No, I'm not. How am I cherry picking?
On the one hand, you're saying that I don't know what the definition of an atheist is. I know what an atheist is. An atheist is somebody that does not believe in any gods. I promise you that's what an atheist is. Now, do you know what the word any means? You know what all means? If they don't believe in any gods or all gods is, then you need to establish that, because right now you're speaking for them and you're saying, well, they only reject the belief in supernatural gods, but it's perfectly okay for them to believe in naturalistic ones. That's comical. That's straight up comical. Okay, let's go to my second argument.
Hang on. This is the response to your thing. You said you're saying I'm cherry picking, but actually what I'm doing is I'm applying the proper context to the word God. That's what I'm doing, because I listened to how the term atheism is used in this community. I've searched up enough videos to know that when a person says atheist, that they lack a belief of gods, they mean supernatural deities. Right. That is evident by what they say. Right. And therefore, that is what they mean by the word atheist.
That means they're not atheists. If they're saying that they only lack of a belief in a supernatural God, then they're not atheists.
Well, I tried with the first one, people.
Okay, so let's go to the second part of my argument, because this is where it's gonna get fun, and you're gonna need a little Bible knowledge to be able to defy with this one and whatnot.
Oh boy, well, okay, I can't wait.
The second one is this: that atheists are suppressing the truth and unrighteousness. Okay, that they know that God exists, but they're suppressing the truth and unrighteousness. This is when we get into a little bit of presuppositionalism a little bit. So if you got some Advil, Neil, you're my friend, you better start taking it now. The bottom line is this: can you prove to me, let's just use a random atheist. He'll use J.D. King as an example, okay? J.D. King debated me, does a Christian God exist, and criticized the Bible, I don't know, for the better part of the first, the first three, for the majority of the debate, he criticized the Bible. And you know how I won that debate? I asked him one question: did you read the Bible? And when he said no, that he read 4 books about the Bible, what does that tell me about J.D. King? That he is ignorantly and being gullible, listening to other people's opinions about a book he's never read, in which he cannot tell you whether or not something is true or something is true or not true. For example, an atheist will say God cannot exist because his nature is this and his nature is that. Okay, fine. What did you read about it? Oh, I don't have to read anything about it. I went to evilbible.com. Or I read Sam Harris' book, or I read Christopher Hitchens' book. There's no investigation going on there. That isn't a person using critical thinking. That isn't a person using objective, being objective about seeking to see whether or not this God exists. That's a person who's being gullible, who believes everything that somebody else tells them, that happens to be angry about God. Now, I cannot wait to hear your defense for this. How many atheists do you know, Thaddeus, that actually know something about the Bible and has a legitimate reason for not believing in him?
Quite a few. I mean, you want to name a few in this community, or do you want to?
Somebody in this community. I would love to hear somebody. It could be anybody. It doesn't matter. It could be bot, and it could be any one of those guys. Yeah.
So you want to know atheists that base? Okay. Well, I don't know if he counts in this community, but do you know who Evidence 3 is?
Evidence for you?
No, evidence 3. I didn't say evidence for you. No. I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about Evidence 3. He's a YouTuber that made a deconversion series, and he's looked into the Bible and all that, and he's come out on the other side as an atheist after a bunch of studying.
And what did he study?
He studied the origins of the Bible. He's also read it himself, because he used to be very into the Christian life and all that. Okay. Also, someone a little closer to home, if you want some better point of reference, you'll probably know who this is. Do you know who Floyd FP is in this community?
Oh yeah, I know who Floyd is, but Floyd doesn't read the Bible objectively. He reads the Bible.
I thought the whole argument was who read the Bible, not who looks at it in the way that you want them to look at it in.
Wait a minute. He doesn't read the Bible objectively to try to find out what the Bible says. He reads the Bible to try to refute the Bible. You understand that's nothing new. That ain't no shocking revelation. We all know that. So, when he reads the Bible, he's reading it to try to prove that God doesn't exist. He doesn't.
You think he's never
find out what the book is actually saying first before he can make a judgment. His mind is already made up.
Here, I don't want to speak for him, but perhaps his mind.
Fine. You've been doing a great job of doing that the last hour.
Yeah, but here's the thing, because these atheists are not willing to deal with you because they are basically sick of you at this point. So here I am speaking for them because they're not willing to nip this thing in the bud like I am.
You're speaking for a lot of people that don't.
Yeah, because they're not willing to pull up their pants and do it, which is, I understand, it could be frustrating.
Here's the thing, Thaddeus. You need to pay attention to this, okay? That's not true. That's only true for about maybe 20 people in this community. And that's all you're speaking for. And I can name who them 20 people, maybe 30 people in this community is, who are irrelevant. Okay, so continue. Go ahead.
Okay, as I was saying for Floyd, though, and people like him who look at the Bible objectively, do you not think, especially with these people that used to be Christians, that they used to read the Bible with an open mind and everything, and now they're looking at it objectively because they've already read it the other way?
Floyd's already admitted multiple times talking to me that he never was a Christian. Because as soon as I asked him what was it like having the Holy Spirit living inside of him, when the Bible clearly states that if the Spirit of God is not dwelling in you, then you don't belong to him. All right. So he's already admitted that the Spirit of God wasn't living inside of him. So no, he wasn't. Even Matt Dillahunty's admitted that he was never a Christian. So no, that's not going to work.
I'm not even going to get into this. What's your second argument then?
My second argument is that they are not objectively reading the Bible. Like, for example, let's take the flood. This is my favorite example to use in the entire Bible, right? With to prove that they never read it. They'll say that God was immoral for flooding the earth. Okay, fine. What did God do when he flooded? Oh, God killed all these innocent people. What did those people do to deserve to be flooded? Do you know the horrors of being drowned? Okay, great. Why did God flood them? I don't care why he drowned them. Okay, how about we just be objective here so you can prove your point? Why? I don't know. Okay, did you at least read the story? No. Okay, so you got a person that's angry. You got a person that's got tunnel vision and just wants to prove that God is immoral and that he doesn't exist at the same time by using the flood story, by trying to say his attributes contradict each other. Okay, and by doing that, they're trying to talk to me about a story they haven't even read. That's like me saying that, I know all this stuff about evolution. And by the way, the theory of evolution is me pouring a bowl of cereal in a bowl and eating it. You understand what I'm saying? That's how some of them sound when they're talking about the Bible. If they read the Bible, they would know that, number one, these people wasn't really people. They was subhuman. That's number one. Number two, they had evil in their mind continually. You think of the evil thing, those people were doing it at that time. And now the atheists are trying to say that God doesn't have the right to judge his own creation. Therefore, he doesn't exist. It's some of the stupidest arguments you ever heard in your life. It's not a legit, and that's something you need to understand, Thaddeus. There is not an atheist on YouTube that has a legitimate reason for being an atheist. Not
okay. One. I beg to differ. Maybe not in this small little community. I could grant you that, but you haven't met the variety of people that are here on YouTube. There's some channels you probably have never heard of, some that don't make the same stupid arguments or whatever.
Wait a minute, are you admitting that atheists make dumb arguments?
Yeah, of course. I'm not an atheist.
Can you tell me one of them?
Yeah, like the whole thing about you just mentioned it right there with the whole flood thing, right? Yeah. I agree. That doesn't, we don't really know what kind of evil those people were doing.
That's what they'll say to you with a straight face. How can I follow a God like that, who is so immoral? Well, first of all, if he doesn't exist, he didn't do any of that. Why are you getting so emotional about it? I mean, some of these people will literally pop a blood vessel in their head. This is a guy on YouTube called Greg K, who when I first got on the internet, this guy went off about the topic of hell. This fictional place that's supposed to not exist and whatnot. He just went completely ballistic. One of these days, I got to repost that to my channel so that people can see it, or put the link in the description of one of my videos. It's one of the most interesting things you've ever seen. Somebody getting so angry about a place that's not about Neverland that doesn't exist, but he's getting really mad about it. These people know full well hell exists. They know full well heaven exists, and they know full well that God exists. And you can tell by the emotion that they're putting into their arguments, and it's hilarious. Like J.D. King, J.D. King will claim he has all this stuff, knowledge about the Bible and whatnot, right? And yes, I'm going to say this in advance. He admitted that he was wrong about this later on. But one of my favorite things to bring up about that guy is this. Besides the fact that he said he read 4 books about the Bible, he said that the word Christian doesn't even show up in the Bible. That was funny because first Dick Shades put him in his place, and then I made a video and put him. Well, actually, I kind of mirrored the video and put him in his place and showed him. And then he came out and said, "Okay, the word shows up at least 3 or 4 times in the Bible." So a lot of those dudes don't know what they're talking about. And I ain't gonna lie, I get a great pleasure showing the atheist community that they've been deceived and that they need to come to Jesus Christ, and that they've been listening to people who are angry and not listening to people who are being objective.
Okay, so I want to be able to tackle your whole, because are you basically saying that since atheists talk about God like so much, there's almost like they can't possibly be atheists because of their...
No, what I'm saying is that they won't do the investigation. They won't actually go do the footwork to find out whether or not God exists. They will not actually do that. They would rather listen to Christopher Hitchens or listen to Bionic Dance or who's somebody influential on here? They'll listen to Dusty Smith or somebody like that. They'd rather listen to those guys, or Atheism is Unstoppable, one of them guys and whatnot, and come to the conclusion that God isn't real, rather than doing their own homework. They won't do it. They're scared because they know full well they're going to come to the conclusion that I have and everybody else has, that it's going to be revealed that they know deep down inside that God exists. It is suppressing the truth and unrighteousness.
Okay, so when it comes to the whole atheist looking for God, I'll admit there's some that I do feel are kind of being lazy atheists that are not really doing too much research, and therefore they have some pretty dumb reasons for being atheists. As someone that doesn't identify as an atheist, I can admit this. However, I can't say that every single atheist has not done their research to come to where they are. And for those people to say they haven't done any of their research in that would probably be pretty insulting to them, especially if you've seen their videos and that.
Well,
I'm not talking about Jacqueline Glenn. I'm not talking about the Amazing Atheist. I'm talking about others.
All right. So let's take the most popular claim they use, that they haven't seen any evidence that God exists. Okay, now I will accept that from a newbie, somebody who just became an atheist, don't know nothing about the great debate community and whatnot. But let's say that person's been an atheist for I don't know, about a year or whatever, and they heard the presuppositional argument. They've heard the cosmological argument. They've heard answered prayer. They've heard all of the different arguments that are out there for God's existence, intelligent design, and all these other arguments and whatnot, right? And then they still come out and say, I haven't seen any evidence. Number one, that's being intellectually dishonest. That's number one.
Okay.
And then, at least you agree with me there. And then number two, and then, but this is the main reason they give you. I haven't seen any evidence. What do you mean you haven't seen any evidence? You just got finished talking to Scientific Bruticate. You just got finished talking to Veckel. You just got finished talking to Show Empiricism. I just got finished talking to you.
That's the problem. No, that's the problem right there. First, on the first thing, I was with you for a bit because you did say when it comes to if they being presented evidence or they're not willing to look at evidence and they're just kind of refusing to look at it, I'd still say they're technically an atheist, because if they don't know, and if they never bother to look at the evidence or whatever, then they still technically don't know that this so-called evidence is even out there. Therefore, if the evidence does not convince them because they never even bother to look it up, they're still an atheist. Might be a very poor reason to be an atheist, but are still an atheist nonetheless. Second of all, when it comes to talking to the likes of you, have you guys really presented anything of value? No offense, but it's usually just been, certain arguments that people complain are a little bit circular or something like that.
Thaddeus, I want you to be honest with me about something here.
Is that really evidence? Come on.
Are you keepers?
That's not relevant to the discussion.
No, I'm serious. Because
yes, I'm serious too. That's not relevant to the discussion. Are we here to discuss do atheists exist, or are we here
Can you
to
just go through
discuss?
that and just continue with the focus?
Okay, I want to say this publicly. I think I'm talking to Keith Keepers, and the reason why I'm saying this is this: Trill Beats
G-Man,
presented himself.
to be
Wait a
fair,
minute, this
this
is
is
part
not
of my
really
argument.
relevant.
It's
But this
not
is part of
relevant to
my
the discussion. Is this
This
really
is part of
this?
my argument. This is part of my argument, though.
If
This
you're
is
just
officially part of my argument.
if you're just bringing up
I believe you're
drama,
being intellectually dishonest with me, Thaddeus, and I'm gonna tell you why. Okay, when you first presented yourself to me, you presented yourself to me as a girl, and I have the picture of that. Okay.
Okay,
Number
okay, this is
two, you presented
sorry,
yourself to me. You presented
yeah,
yourself to
I'm
me.
glad you're trying
this
to
is not, I'm
invalidate
not
my
trying to
argument by bringing up past drama,
Wow.
but I'm not doing that to you.
I
No,
want to
I could
finish.
bring up the whole thing with Jade and that if you want to with the whole blowhorn, but I'm not. I was being
I
kind
am
to you.
trying to make my argument, okay, about intellectual dishonesty here online. That's what I'm trying to do. And right now, you're
By bringing up drama. That's how you do it. That is sad.
I'm not bringing up drama, but I know you're keep keepies though.
Guys,
That much I do know. I can tell now. I've been wondering about that for a while, but that's who you are.
G-Man,
Yeah.
G-Man, please. Okay, the issue we're having here is that this particular dishonesty that you're mentioning is personal one between the two of you in private. I don't know what you guys have discussed in private, and I frankly don't care because it's not relevant to the actual argument that we're having right now.
You haven't heard my
So if you
argument to
want
be able to
talk
say that though.
No, but the
You
issue
haven't
is you're
heard my
bringing up
argument to be able to
messages.
say that though. Okay, I'll tell you what. I won't bring up.
Let me-
I won't bring up his intellectual dishonesty. Fine.
Get to the point.
No, it didn't get to no point. You lied to me about who you are. But I'll say this though, okay? I won't bring up his intellectual dishonesty. Okay? I'll bring up let's see, what can I bring up here? I'll bring up JD Kane again, since he's an easy target for this conversation and whatnot. This is a person who claims that the God of the Bible doesn't exist. This is a person who claims that God is immoral. This is a person who claims that atheists are supposed to be what is it, that they're supposed to be these people that cares about logic and they care about the evidence, when in reality he intentionally ignores the evidence right in front of him. He will not actually pick up the Bible and actually read it. He will not consider the presuppositional argument, the again answer prayer. He's never taken that seriously. He's never taken what is it, the intelligent design. But I tell you one thing that JD Kane has admitted in public. He admitted in public that it is possible that atheists are their own gods, and he did that on Antonio on Antonio's channel. And he agreed that if atheists are their own gods, then guess what? There are no atheists. You understand what I'm saying? And he's an atheist saying that, Thaddeus. Okay.
Yes, but does he speak for all atheists though? I mean, this is just one person out of a bunch of different people. Now, if a bunch of different people were making these kind of things, and it was like the majority.
Right now, you're speaking for all of them. You've been doing it the whole day. You've been talking about you. First of all, according to you, a person can be an atheist as long as a person doesn't believe in a supernatural God, and they believe in naturalism.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure half the other people agree with me too.
Okay, so I'll say this again. You believe in atheists as somebody who does not believe in supernatural gods, but can believe in naturalistic gods and still be an atheist. That is not an atheist.
I'm giving your definition of God credit, because personally I wouldn't say a final authority or any old master or whatever should be labeled as a God. That's a very weak use of the definition. Yeah, I know you can use it technically, but that's not a very good definition when it comes to discussing these kind of things. It's not good language to be using.
Guys, you stop interrupting me, please. So anyway, I'll say this again. According to you, okay, and by the way, I'll actually use this definition. I ain't got a problem with that. And I'll make sure I tell everybody who told me this too. And according to you, you can believe in 100 gods and still be an atheist. You just can't believe in supernatural gods. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard in my life, because it goes against the very definition. I can't take you seriously.
It doesn't. Depends on context.
Okay, just give me one moment. Just give me one moment, guys. I want to see if my mic is any louder now. How am I coming through?
You're coming through fine, but
am I coming in through louder?
Yep.
Okay, so just for the sake of this conversation continuing and in a very, very respectful manner, until each person is finished, so there's minimal interruptions, please.
Yep, that goes for you too, Thaddeus.
Both of you. Goes for both of you.
Yeah, it goes for Thaddeus
Okay.
too. You stop interrupting me.
Mm-hmm.
But the point of the matter is this: he doesn't like the fact that I get on here and I'm intellectually honest when I say that an atheist is a person who doesn't. Now I'm G-man, and I'm saying that an atheist is somebody who does not believe in any gods. Thaddeus, on the other hand, is claiming that you can believe in 100 different gods, except supernatural ones, and you're still being atheist. That's all I want to say. And this is why I'm picky about who I debate on here, because some of you just don't know what you're talking about. I'm sorry. I need to go pick up a dictionary, and I hope that God True Empiricism's recording this.
Can we move on to the suppressing of truth now?
Yeah, they're suppressing the truth. Do you know what the word suppress means?
To hold back, to stay in place, depending on.
If a person doesn't want to read the Bible, what are they doing? Come on, you can do it. It's easy.
If they don't read their Bible, then they basically just don't want to learn about the Bible.
No, if they don't want to read the Bible, then they don't want to know the claim. That's what it is. They are suppressing truth. And what they are actually doing is the information is there to show them about God's nature, not what you read on the internet, what you read on Google, or what you heard in somebody's book. You can actually read the Bible for yourself to be able to determine whether or not God did this thing or he didn't. And one of the simple ways you can disprove, and it doesn't matter if you're atheist or agnostic, it does not matter. If you want to disprove a person, you ask them, tell me what's true and what is not true. If all they can do is tell you that God didn't do this and God couldn't have did that, and God, okay, so tell me what's true. And they can't do that, that person doesn't know what they're talking about. You understand what I'm saying? It's really simple. It's not difficult. So when a person says to you, how can you follow a God who floods the whole earth? That's not an argument for atheism. That's an argument for anti-theism and misotheism.
Yes, and I'll agree.
There are no arguments online. None. Zero. That are atheistic in nature. None. Zero. There are no atheists. You need to accept it.
So do you think I could respond to the whole suppress thing? And I'm getting a bad echo, so whoever can mute it'd be nice. Okay. I'm going to respond to the suppressing thing because this also ties into another argument I actually had figured out to actually rebut to, because this ties in nicely with the whole Bible verses saying this. Because the thing Christians can say is, well, atheists say that they don't believe in God, but they are lying to themselves. They want to keep on sinning, suppressing the truth. Firstly, like we just discussed with G-Man here, and I'll agree, that is up for each atheist to be honest with themselves about. If any of you people out here listening are calling yourselves an atheist just because you want to sin, or that, you're not actually an atheist. Atheism is a lack of a belief in God, not hatred towards a God you actually still believe in. That's misotheism, my friend. Second, this whole suppressing the truth thing usually, if not always, comes from certain Bible verses I feel can be taken out of context, could even be purposely wrongly applied. So let's look at the verses. If we go to Romans chapter 1, verse 18, you can say but God shows his anger from heaven against all sinful, wicked people who suppress the truth by their wickedness. If you go to Romans chapter 1, verse 20, that even says, for since the world was created, people have seen the earth and the sky. Through everything God has made, they can clearly see his invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature. So they have no excuse for not knowing God. And you know what? Even going out of Romans, you can even go Psalm 53, verse 1. And that says, only fools say in their hearts, there is no God. They are corrupt and their actions are evil. Not one of them does good. Before I go any further, scripture quotations are taken from the Holy Bible, New Living Translation, copyright 1996, 2004, 2007 by Tyndale House Foundation. Use the permission of Tyndale House Publishers, Inc., Carroll Stream, Illinois 69188. All rights reserved. Anyways, seems pretty legit, right? But something you have to keep in mind about those verses is context. Just like what we were saying about the whole dictionary definition. For the book of Romans, if we assume the Apostle Paul is the one who actually writing these letters and not some writer doing these, but attaching Paul's name to them, like some history people say happened with the Bible text, I'm not going to get into that, then we should look at who the audience of these letters are. Since they are translated into the modern Bible now, but back in the day, a lot of these New Testament books were letters for specific churches and stuff. These were not originally letters written specifically to us readers who wouldn't exist for over 100 years. He's talking to the Jews and Christians in Rome. These type of people would definitely have a concept of God. People behaving you could point to and say they were simply suppressing the truth. Back then, before science, no one really knew a lot about how our world works. So making the whole God being super evident through everyday workings of nature and such would seem more valid. The days before we had scientific research on how certain things work and this obvious truth of God becoming less obvious. The last verse is not from Romans, though. It has a different context. The book of Psalms are basically songs, supposedly written by David. Written by David to, well, God himself, I'd think. Even looking at it, that, with God being the original recipient of the message, it is easy to look at this verse and see that it is, and see it as literally true, as it is the Bible, and a lot of people seem to disregard context when it comes to the Bible. As a person who writes my own songs myself, I'm going to share my opinion from it from a song/poem writing perspective. The things with songs is that even if ancient songs are similar to modern songs, it's that they can be poetic in nature. A lot of songs say things with metaphors, similes, and other non-literal ways of talking, including hyperbole, which means gross exaggeration. I feel like hyperbole is a favorite among us rappers. The start to the 51st Psalm or song feels very hyperbolic in nature, saying stuff like only a fool would believe there is no God. That feels more like a statement of emotion than rather than stating a literal fact. It also says not one of them does good. Are you seriously going to tell me that not one atheist or non-Christian for that matter never does anything morally good? Statement of hyperbole, not literal. It's a song. Even what G-Man mentioned earlier with Psalm 82. It's a song. Context matters. In order to defeat this argument, you have to show how the context doesn't matter or how I'm mistaken on the context.
Wow, man, you know what, Thaddeus, you're 21 and everything and whatnot, so I'll give you a pass. You need to go study, bro. Anyway, so when that scripture, when you read that scripture where it says that no one has done good, it's talking about as far as in God's sight. And again, you really should probably read your Bible, bro, before you start using that against me. All right, it means that when like for example, when the Bible says that no one is righteous, that's according to God. Okay, when it says that no one does good, that is according to God. Because he is the one who defines what is good, and he is the one that defines what is righteous. Nice try, but honestly, bro, you need to go study. The other scriptures are irrelevant to what we're talking about here. The fact of the matter is that you said in a public Google Hangout that an atheist could believe in more than one God. Okay, I'm sorry, could believe in a God as long as it's not supernatural and be an atheist. And I just want to make sure this happened on Hannah's channel and that you actually said this. Now, all I gotta do is get a count on the likes of this video later on and looking at the comment section later to find out who agrees with you. That's all I'm looking for after this. That's it.
Or it could be a bunch of dislikes because it's you. You know how people like to do like a mass disliking of videos that you're in.
I don't care if they dislike me. I'm not on here. Listen to me, Thaddeus.
But you said the likes and dislikes would be a very good representation of who's right and who's wrong. That wouldn't be.
No, they wouldn't. Actually, dislikes are my best friend, because when a Christian is watching my videos and a Christian is looking out all the dislikes, the first thing that comes out of their mouth is, this brother is doing something right. I'm going to subscribe. And atheists or people who are pretending to be atheists online will never understand that, because they don't know what a Christian is, because they never was saved to begin with. Now, Thaddeus,
what's the particular part you disagreed with in the whole context thing?
Now here's the thing about you. At least you admit that God does exist. You're just against him.
Yes.
Right? Okay, great. So what's the difference between you and, let's say, a militant atheist?
Easy. Militant atheist doesn't believe God exists at all. Therefore, their militant atheist is basically coming from a place of anger that they think people believe this really stupid thing, and it's affecting government and affecting people's everyday lives, and they don't want it to be a thing. Me, I do believe that there is a God. However, when it comes to me doing my part, I guess, arguing against certain claims and all that, this is coming from a perspective that I do believe there's a God, and it's not just about there being like just being a silly belief, but rather the fact that people should really evaluate why they even believe in this God in the first place, because some of the things that I feel like this God and that does, that, I don't really feel like, they're good things, especially as an artistic person.
Yeah, you sound
But
very.
hang on. I want to be able to ask you, what was the part that you disagreed with about the whole context thing with the verses? Because I thought I explained it
Well,
pretty clear.
I already told you. I already told you that you misunderstand the verse in Romans, where it said that no one does good, and no, atheists don't do good, not in the eyes of God.
Never,
Okay,
like not even if they like hold the door open for somebody or help somebody save somebody from drowning or something. That does
what
not count as good.
you're looking at what is good in your eyes. I'm looking
No.
at what is good in God's eyes. There's
Bible
a big
also says good actions are good too. You want to help your everyday, you want to help your neighbor.
No. You need to go study.
It doesn't say that. It doesn't say to help your neighbor.
Let me go back to what you just got finished doing on your tirade and whatnot about the militant atheists and you and whatnot, and the difference and whatnot, right? I argue that the atheist community is pretty much you. That they're misotheists and anti-theists, because all of them, and I'm not even going to say some of them, all of them, 100% of them, that goes for my friends and the people who aren't my friends. If you claim to be an atheist, you are just mad at God for something that he apparently did in a book that supposedly is supposed to be a book of fairy tales, according to you guys. And a lot of you would just happen to be anti-religious because you believe that religion is harmful, even though atheism is a religion in this country. Let's try not to forget that and whatnot, right? Now, that's what they demonstrate here online. They don't demonstrate atheism. Atheism is they don't believe in a God. If they don't believe in a God, there's no reason for them to do any of the things that they're doing online, looking for Christians, thumbing down their videos, arguing with them every single day, and trying to and trying to say, hey, your God doesn't exist because he's immoral. Well, guess what? If God doesn't exist, he can't be immoral. Like I said, there are no atheists online. The only thing that you have online, okay, are misotheists and anti-theists. And a lot of people are gonna be like, Thaddeus, hooray, you did a great job. Just remember, guys, you said, and I quote, that you can believe in a God and still be an atheist. I just want to remind the people out there that he said that. Okay.
And I think they will understand the context.
No, I understand thinking. There's a difference. Mind you, I don't want to be interrupted now. Okay. There's a difference between critical thinking, something that these atheists lack, and you too, by the way, and just accepting someone's claim. You hear these atheists talk online, you don't think them through, and then you just accept it. Critical thinking is this: you hear an atheist make a claim, you watch their actions, you see if their claim and their actions are lining up with each other, and you see whether or not it's consistent. And they're not. They're practicing a form of cognitive dissonance. Okay, they're not being what do you call it, consistent with their claim. If these people did not believe that a God exists, then you cannot get mad about the flood. You can't get mad about babies in the Bible. You can't get mad about any of that stuff. And by the way, the key word there is being mad. You can't be mad or anything like that. You want to know why? Because it never happened. Okay, but their actions are showing you that it did happen, and that they are misotheists toward it and they're anti-theistic toward it, and that's what they are. They are not atheists. They are not real. They don't exist. They pretend he ain't real to try to win people to their secular, humanistic, antichrist mentalities.
Okay, so if I can respond to that, because it feels very much like you're saying that atheists are talking way too much about God in general, in order for them to not think that he's actually real, even coming from emotion, because that's what you're basically saying.
No, that's not what I'm saying. You're trying to put words in my mouth, though.
Okay. What do you think you're saying then? What do you think? Explain it in your own words.
What I said.
I did explain it in your. That's what I've got from what you're saying.
They're misotheists and anti-theists. You're not going to put words in my mouth. It's not going to work.
Okay, whatever you want to call them, these people, you're talking way too. They're talking about God, and they're also talking about from a place of emotion, stuff that they shouldn't even get emotional about if it's not real.
You know what? In Star Wars, Alderaan got destroyed. Go look at how many videos on my channel you see me talking about Alderaan going boom.
Yes, boom, so that's that.
But check it out. Darth Vader also killed a whole bunch of Gungan. No, not Gungan. Sand people, I think they were. He killed a whole bunch of sand people. Actually, it wasn't Darth Vader. It was Anakin. Anakin killed a whole bunch of sand people. I'm not making any videos talking about his morality and whatnot. Okay, that's a secondary argument. My argument is that if you look at the actions and the argumentation that the atheists are making, they are misotheist and anti-religious arguments, which is stupid when they start saying that we need to get rid of religion. If you say you're going to get rid of religion, according to the law, we got to get rid of atheism. You understand? They say a lot of dumb things online without thinking things through. Just like you're doing right now. You're making excuses for them. I'm being real. I'm saying that they don't have a lack of a belief in a God. What they have is hatred towards God. Okay, and they're pretending that he's not real, and they're suppressing any real information that could could actually show them for certain that God is not this immoral monster that they keep painting them out to be and whatnot. They don't even want to read the Bible.
Okay, if I can respond, I understand where you're coming from. Okay, so again, one of them being, as you said, that could be an explanation that some of these people are actually misotheists and just mislabel themselves atheists. I'm not denying that. I'm not saying that every single person that says they're an atheist is. For the rest of the people that are actually atheists, there are plenty of reasons to talk about Christianity and the Christian God. Perhaps for some of them, it does come from more of an emotional thing in the sense that they felt like they were lied to, and they have a general anger towards Christianity as a whole as an ideology. Doesn't mean that they think the God of the ideology is centered around is real. Perhaps some don't like the push for what they feel is pseudoscience and political decisions made by people due to their faith in God. It doesn't mean that they think the God of this that the pseudoscience and political decisions are based around is real. Perhaps some of them even have a genuine interest in topics like the ones discussed in this community. They may find ideas that they feel are stupid, and the debunking of said ideas interesting. I find some of it interesting too. For example, now I'm just using it as an example, don't explode about this. You like to shut this down a lot. The flat earth theory. I find it silly, but I have still liked talking about it, not because I believe it, at least not yet. I'm kidding, by the way. But I find the viewpoint interesting. And the reactions non-flat earthers have to flat earth theory fascinating in some ways, because it's kind of fun to see them, kind of lose their mind over this stuff and say, wow, people actually believe this, that kind of thing. Now, you said a lot of this comes from emotion. Well, maybe it is rather insulting to think that for somebody they don't even think is real or whatever, but people do, and they like to push this idea around. Perhaps insulting to think that we have to follow some strict deity's rules and whatever he says goes, and it's moral because he says so. Again, someone can still be talking about something and not actually believe in it, but however, it has enough of an impact on the world that, they can have an interest in it.
I'm sorry, Thaddeus, man. I'm dying over here, bro.
Hold on one
Believe
moment.
that a God exists, that a God can
G-Man,
exist.
hold on one moment.
That's
Just
funny.
wait, hold on one moment. So I just wanted to make a really quick clarifying statement, just in case people might be getting lost. Trill is saying that if your argument sounds more or less, you're saying that atheists are really misotheists. Now, Trill, correct me if I'm wrong. Misotheists believe in God, but they have a hatred towards him.
Yes.
They don't right. They don't deny his existence. They simply
Yep.
believe the God of the Bible is immoral, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what he's basically saying is atheists, not lack theists, or how everybody else categorizes them online. You're claiming atheists are really misotheists, which do believe in God. They do affirm in God, but they're two different positions. Do you see?
No, what I'm saying is this. I'm saying that the atheists. Actually, I agree with you. Actually, when you're saying that they know he exists, they hate him, but they're also anti-religious because of it as well. But they're not atheists. And anybody that comes on YouTube and says that you can believe in a God and still be an atheist needs to get their head examined, because that's not what the dictionary says. That's not how it's. I hope Matt Dillahunty's watching this. I really hope he's watching this. Oh God, he must be pulling out the little whiskers that he's got left on his head. Oh God, man, that is hilarious. You can't say that, Thaddeus, man. Seriously. The bottom line is this: these atheists don't exist. They none of them have a legitimate, logical, rational reason to be an atheist. Okay, what they do have a reason for is to be mad and angry at God because they prayed to God and God didn't give them the thing that they wanted when they prayed, or they could be mad about religion because mom and dad made them go to church when they didn't want to go to church. I mean, if we're going to talk about this, let's talk about this. Or mom and dad pushed their religion on them, when they wasn't interested in whatnot, and they're just angry. Because that's what these atheists are online. They're not atheists. And I only call them that out of respect. What I believe is that these people are misotheists and anti-theists because, number one, they don't got a sound logical reason. Their arguments goes against the very definition of what an atheist is. And I know they believe that they themselves, that they are their own gods. Okay? And you can look at any major debate that either Ravi Zacharias has been in or any really popular Christian's been in. These people have been exposed as being that numerous times. Maybe without necessarily admitting it, but you can hear them saying that their brand of morality is right. Nobody else's brand of morality is right. Only theirs is, and that their brand of judgment is the right one, and everyone else's is wrong. But then they want to say it's subjective. Come on now, stop it. I mean, seriously, the bottom line is this: there are no such thing as atheists. Okay, if you believe in at least one God, you are not an atheist. And anybody that believes in Thaddeus' argument, please understand, I will have a video on my channel tomorrow. And I'm going to check these videos. I'm taking screenshots, and I'm telling you, I'm taking your comments, and I'm going to say, so-and-so believes that you can believe in more than one God, and you can still be an atheist.
Okay, but I hope that they watch this video first and take you, in case you take it out of context or something.
So anyway, so this debate's over, bro. I won. So anyway, so my question for you is what I asked you earlier on Skype.
You think you've won?
On Skype, if you don't mind. You don't got to answer me in public, but you can answer me on Skype at least, because you lied to me. All right, and I don't appreciate that.
Okay, Trill, is there any part of the atheists do not exist argument you'd like to continue with?
I was just going to ask, because we haven't really had any. Well, I guess we had a little bit of it, but I mean, we kind of kept going off on tangents because there's a little bit of a cross-examination there with the whole the fact about, you know, atheists basically talking about things that shouldn't matter to them if it's not real, you know, or if that's not like the correct ideology. Christianity isn't. Because if this anti-atheist argument was a valid argument, could I not also argue that since you focus a lot on debunking Black Hebrew Israelites in your channel, that you're not actually a Christian but a Black Hebrew Israelite? You sure have like a huge interest for it. You talk way too much about the Black Hebrew Israelite ideology, or for you to not think it's actually the truth. I could make that claim.
Well, actually make that claim. Please make that claim.
Okay, go ahead. Just for the sake of argument, I'm not making.
Put a public timer up to panel. I want to show you how fast he's gonna get debunked. You put a public timer up right now. I want just put it up there real quick, because I'm asking one question and then watch what happens. Okay, so you believe I'm a Black Hebrew Israelite then, right?
For the sake of argument, let's go with that. I'm not going to be that dishonest in real life and say, yeah, you're a Black Hebrew Israelite, because you talk about it.
If we're going to talk about the Hebrew Israelites, you should at least know what they are. Define for me what a Hebrew Israelite is right now.
Well, people that basically, you know, they kind of believe what the Bible says, but at the same time, they also add like this whole Black pride movement thing into it. I've heard about this before, even before you started doing your stuff with them. Because I heard there's a rapper that I like to listen to, that he ended up becoming a Black Hebrew Israelite. So I knew about this.
Okay. That soundbite will be on my channel. By the way, Black Hebrew Israelite is somebody who actually believes that they are of the tribe of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They believe that they are the biblical Jews. Sir, you don't know what you're talking about.
Well, that too, but I wanted to get the Black pride thing out there too, because I think that's a huge thing they hit upon. It's almost like this Black sort of supremacy thing.
Oh my God! You know what, man? I give you an A for effort, man. All right, at least you tried. But that is the most ridiculous thing I ever heard in my life, bro. And that sound.
Well, believe it or not, I also didn't know that as well. I didn't think I'd have to say that. Okay, whatever. You can disbelieve me.
So anyway, so according to you, because this was the funniest part of this whole conversation, according to you, you can actually believe in a God and still be an atheist, right? I just want to make sure I understand this.
Sorry, what was that?
That you can believe in a God and still be an atheist. I just want to make sure I understand it. So when I go on my channel, you guys got new definition of atheism. I'm gonna call the Atheist Experience on Sunday too.
You can believe in some sort of final authority or master and still be an atheist. Let's put it that way.
I didn't say that. I said a God.
Yeah, I know, but you're using God in such a definition that's pretty stupid to the type of argument that we're using. Because otherwise, hang on, if you believe that these are actually gods, and we're going to ignore all kinds of God contexts, no matter what the context is, then I could also say, hey, does that mean you're a polytheist? Because you obviously believe these little g gods are gods. But you wouldn't identify as a polytheist, right? You would.
Don't believe everything that you see on TV. Just because an atheist said it doesn't make it right. That's my advice for you.
Obviously, good, because I already don't believe
God
that.
has a definition. Okay, if you go to the New Age movement, their definition of what a God is going to be different than that of Christianity. If you go to paganism, their definition of a God is going to be different than of Christianity. Guess what? If you go to any religion,
yes, but what's the one underlying thing?
And they have a God that they worship, a deity they worship. That deity is going to have a different definition than that of Christianity. Now, just because you reject, and believe you me when I say this, that atheists are only rejecting either Islam or Christianity or Judaism. They're not rejecting anything else. Trust me, I can read to you what the Satanic Bible says about deities, and they're gonna be like, "Yup, amen, They're gonna be doing all that stuff and whatnot. you understand what I'm saying? They're gonna agree with it totally, and then they're gonna put it into practice on Tuesday. Every single Tuesday, they get together for their church on JD Kane channel and do that and practice what's in this book, even though they probably never read it before. That's the funny thing about it. So my thing for you is this, bro. Before you sit there and talk to me about whether or not they believe in a God or not, you need to look. First of all, you need to know what the definitions are. That's number one. Number two, you need to know what the claim is that the atheists are making. They don't believe in a God or gods. When you put the plural there, we're talking about every other God that could exist. You even admitted that in this debate when you sat there and said any God you can possibly imagine. Really? What about God himself? And then you wanted to backtrack and act like you wasn't saying that. That's exactly what you were saying. The bottom line is,
again, context.
You're going to debate me, or heaven forbid, if you have a debate of presuppositionalists on this, because you won't even get this far, because they're going to be asking you, how do you know, 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 every 5 minutes. The bottom line is this, okay? If you're going to debate whether or not an atheist believes in a God or a gods, at least know what the actual claim is. They don't believe in any gods, according to them anyway. They claim they don't believe in any gods whatsoever. I disagree with their claim. I believe that they at least believe in one God, and that would be self. And they're suppressing the truth and unrighteousness about the God of the Bible. And they show it every time they come into a Google Hangout and they admit they won't read the Bible. They don't care about why God flooded the earth. They don't care about why God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. They don't care about why God created man. And they come up with all these different things and pretend like they're listening to our answers. And then the next Google Hangout, they're saying the same thing again. Like we're not paying attention to what they're doing. There's a difference between me and you, man. I actually practice skepticism. I don't believe everything that people tell me. You do. You believe everything that comes out of their mouth with these atheists. I don't.
Well, I don't. That's straw manning me right now. You want to complain about you being straw manned. I don't believe everything that comes out of their mouth. Otherwise, maybe I'd be an atheist too, for a stupid reason.
Okay, I'll accept that. But you do believe the claim that they're atheists, and you believe their actions is saying that they're an atheist. Their actions is not saying that they're atheists. I'm sorry, the actions don't show anything like that. Agnostics are a lot tougher because an agnostic is claiming, even though I don't believe in agnosticism either. We'll get to that in another day or whatever.
Oh, okay then.
Whatever. But agnostics claim that you can't.
Whoa! You want to have a debate with me on that next?
Yeah, there's an agnostic room right there, man.
I would come over there right now and hand you your butt and face to face. So stop it.
Okay, all right. I'll make sure to have a GoPro with me, and we'll debate in the movie theater or something. I'll be sure to catch this next time.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of you, please. Next time I use that camera, I'm like, listen, okay, I can't show you your face. You got to put this mask on.
If I can just reply to what G-Man said about how there's different definitions of gods. What are all when it comes to theistic or even any sort of these gods that has to do with different religions and like little ideologies and spiritualisms, all that. What's the one thing that they seem to have in common? They are these supernatural beings or like these divine deities.
No, they're not. Was Pharaoh supernatural? Really? Was Pharaoh supernatural?
I'm not talking. No, but I'm not talking about that.
Was the Roman Caesar supernatural or a New Ager supernatural?
Yes, they are. No, not those people.
Oh, Thaddeus, if you want to debate me about something like this, man, either get prepared before you debate me or talk to me in private first about this. Okay, but to go public and do this and not even, oh God, man. Anyway, go ahead and say what you want to say, man. I'm gonna mute. Go ahead.
All right. So basically, I guess we're kind of at a little bit of a standstill because when it comes to this, we either have to it feels like we either have to be using G-man's context for everything, which means that if we're using a term like God, we're using like all the definitions of God at once instead of being able to narrow it down to a specific definition depending on context. And I feel like we're not really getting anywhere with that because of that reason. So I mean, he can make response videos to me if he wants and all this stuff, but just be aware this is kind of like the gap that we're having to deal with right now. So trying to discuss that point even further is just there's going to be no point.
I'm sorry, I don't see no gap. I see you struggling to be able to define words. Like I said, man, the funniest thing you said this whole night was when you told me that an atheist can believe in one God and still be an atheist. Now, mind you, there's a possibility I could be wrong about that. Believe it or not, there's a small. I'm gonna go check every dictionary I can possibly get my hands on to find out one of them that actually say that. And if I do, I'm gonna make a video tomorrow and I'm gonna say, guys, an atheist can believe that a God exists and still be an atheist. And that's what now I can hear the person in the comment section now. That's not what he said, G man. You're straw manning him. I understand what he's saying. He's saying that atheists reject supernatural gods. Okay, but remember, it is the atheist that is making the claim that they don't believe in a God or gods. Gods. Like seriously, do you guys know the difference between singular and plural?
So are we gonna?
Funny man.
Are we gonna go we're pretty much at a standstill?
Yeah,
Are we gonna go
I
for
see that.
are we gonna go for like concluding statements now? Each one of us gets
Yes.
one.
Yes.
you gonna-
Since I had you start first, Trill, I'm gonna have G-Man start first, and
Go
then
ahead.
I'll have you. Okay.
All right.
So
do your
this is the
concluding.
last 5 minutes. So G-Man, can you please make your concluding statement?
I won't
and followed by
interrupt.
Trill.
Okay, my concluding statement is this. This young man over here believes that an atheist can believe in a God and still be an atheist. As you know, I just won this debate because the guy doesn't even know what an atheist is. An atheist is someone who does not believe in any gods whatsoever. And I dare somebody on YouTube to tell me that I'm wrong about that, because I swear the first thing I'm going to do is call the atheist experience. All right. My argument is this. The atheists suppress the truth and unrighteousness. They won't even, people who call themselves atheists anyway, suppress the truth and unrighteousness. They don't read the Bible. They don't really do the homework to see whether or not God exists. Okay. And because they're doing that and they refuse to do it, they don't want to know, they don't want to know if God exists. An atheist is not an atheist if an atheist believes in at least one God. If you believe in at least one God, you are not an atheist. And that God is self. When an atheist is his own final judge and his own final ruler and is a master of his own personal universe, that person is a God unto himself. And he is pushing his Godhood on other people when he starts telling people, my intelligence is somehow better than God's. I understand the world better than God. I would have made better decisions than God. I would have did this than God. God isn't more for throwing people into hell, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So my argument is this. If you're going to act like a God, don't get mad when we start calling you one, okay? And when we start calling you one, you start calling yourself an atheist, and I can prove it using the dictionary, you know what I mean? Then all you're doing is contradicting yourself. There are no atheists. There are only misotheists and anti-theists. If you believe that you can be an atheist and believe in one God, there is something mentally wrong with you.
Okay, I will go now for my concluding statement. So in conclusion, I will say, basically what I said before in the beginning, as I'd said, in order to show that atheists didn't exist, I'd have to see my opponent show how the non-supernatural God invalidates the implied definition of atheism, show how biblical context doesn't matter or how I'm mistaken on the context, and show that someone talking about something they don't personally believe exists is not the case or is invalid. Or basically present new arguments, which there's a few new arguments there. I believe we are at a little bit of a standstill on the first thing. We could not get past the context thing, how God in this sense, when it comes to the atheism definition, that is talking about a supernatural deity. They don't believe that some sort of magical God in the sky exists kind of thing, or some sort of spiritual God or whatnot. They are not talking about simply anybody that claims to be a master or a final authority. Plus, I did try to answer his questions as well. As far as the whole biblical context thing goes, I do recommend that there is a few people in this community that can really offer some insight to what the context of those verses actually are. So we can actually really see what those verses mean when it comes to it being proof that there's no such thing as atheists. And as far as atheists talking from emotion, again, I think we still can say that personally having an investment in something or being passionate about something does not necessarily mean that you believe it exists. You can just find the topic interesting, or you can have some sort of anger towards it for other reasons. This topic of whether atheists actually exist or not may seem like a waste of time for some, but now that we've had this discussion, people can get a glimpse of how I see the world versus how G-Man sees the world. I tried my best to keep certain audience members entertained with my humor and a little more simplistic language, so certain people that I know closer to home could follow along with what I said easier. If I may just conclude with this, if I may give any advice to my opponent, and I ask to not be interrupted because this is something I feel I want to get off my chest, and to some of the more radical Christians online in this community, is that y'all try to approach things with a little more of an open mind and try to make more allies than enemies. The drama and times of dishonesty really do not help the message being taken serious to a larger audience. In the past, I feel like you've implied many Christian YouTubers you knew of were not Christians. They didn't line up with what you felt a true Christian was. If one is going to spread this Christian ministry of yours or anybody's online to outsiders, you could use all the help you can get, even if it's from Christians who don't share your view on some things. I feel that if people made less videos calling out people and more time trying to include people, the ministries online could be taken more seriously. If there was less divisions among us as a human race due to our beliefs, that would make it easier to work together to make the world a happier place. And people like you don't help people like me get right with God again, except for maybe out of fear, but that wouldn't be a genuine reconversion. So yeah, shout out to Hannah Zuby for having me on the channel. Special thanks to G-Man for agreeing to do this debate.
I will not debate you again because you lied to me about your identity. I just want to make sure everybody understands that YouTube video tomorrow. Hang on. And why he's lying to everybody about who he is.
I was going to say shout out to some of the people on Steve McRae's channel that helped me a little bit prepare for this debate. Steve McRae runs these Google Hangouts on his YouTube, mainly discussing science and theology. I encourage those of you who have not already, who are even partly interested, to join these open discussions. We need some more. We should need some new blood in this community. Getting kind of tired of the same people over and over again. So subscribe to the channel. Do some discussions if you want to. He told me he could really use some more people. So don't feel like you're bothering him.
What that is simply go look at the Elite Hunter on YouTube. This is Keith Keepers. Everyone knows it. All right, so you lied to me, Thaddeus.
If you want to follow my music, hang on. If you want to follow my music, because you can search this up yourself.
I'm not using your music. I refuse to use your music.
Okay, you can search. Hang on. You can search up this yourself.
Both of you.
Hang on.
Stop. Both.
Listen.
Both stop.
Hang on.
No, Thaddeus, you too. Hold on. I'll do it. Don't worry. So please feel free to check out Thaddeus's channel. He also
Young
does
Trillium.
music. Young Trillium, music for and artwork as well, if you please could.
Yeah.
I want to thank both of you guys for coming onto the channel to debate. I appreciate your kind words as well. This is also an invitation that Drag wanted me to read out on air in case anybody, including Thrill or G-Man, were interested.
Trill.
Trill, Sky. Did I say Thrill? Okay. I'm so sorry. I'm losing my mind.
Yeah, just call me Young Trillium.
Trill. Okay. Drag is offering to have a discussion about this topic, particularly with G-Man, if he is so willing, in the after show hangout that is going to be hosted by Steve. So if you would like, I can give you guys the invite to that so both of you can attend. And I'll encourage the rest of the audience to also watch.
Yes. Yeah, the after show on Steve McRae's channel.
So don't think I'm coming. I'm not going to McRae's channel. That ain't happening.
All right.
Okay.
No problem. It was fun while it lasted.
All right, thank you guys so much.
Thank you for the debate, man. Next time, know what the definition of an atheist is before you debate me. All right.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.